Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. The ceremony was in full swing in the courtyard of the royal palace. Flags fluttered in the wind, foreign guests murmured in their sumptuous costumes, and the royal guard, lined up with military precision, remained motionless like a marble statue. Among the crowd, a young black girl, simply dressed, observed the scene. Her eyes were fixed on one guard in particular, Captain Ethan Rowe, renowned for his absolute loyalty to the crown. But at a specific moment, she made an almost imperceptible gesture, a quick movement of her fingers, a coded sign that no one else noticed. And suddenly, against all expectations, the guard broke protocol. He abruptly turned his head, took a step forward, an act forbidden during an official ceremony, his wide eyes betraying an emotion he should not show. The other guards remained frozen. The diplomats whispered. The Queen frowned. "Captain Rowe, what are you doing?" shouted a senior officer. But he was no longer listening. He walked towards the young girl, finally recognizing her. And in that suspended silence, she murmured. "You promised you'd come back, Ethan, and you never did." The sun rose slowly over the stone towers of Windsor Hall Palace, casting a golden light on the paved courtyard. It was the day of the annual crown ceremony, an event where nobility, diplomats, and royal guards gathered to renew their oath of allegiance. Everything had to be perfect, every step, every glance, every gesture mattered. The royal guard formed two impeccable ranks. In front of them, Captain Ethan Rowe, 28 years old, wore the dark blue uniform, adorned with medals. He had a reputation as an irreproachable soldier, cold and disciplined, a man of duty above all. But beneath his impassive expression, something burned, an old pain, carefully concealed. At the far end of the courtyard, amidst the dense crowd, a young black woman watched the scene. She wore a simple beige dress, too modest for the occasion. Her deep brown eyes followed the captain without blinking. Her heart was pounding. Her name was Amara Lewis. She hadn't seen him for 10 years. Ethan didn't know she was there. For him, Amara belonged to a past he'd had to bury when he joined the Royal Guard. She came from a small, forgotten village, destroyed after a revolt unjustly crushed by the royal troops. That day, he'd been ordered to do nothing. And yet, he'd sworn to Amara, just before being taken away. "When it's all over, I'll come back for you." But he never came back. The fanfare sounded. The Queen entered, followed by the ambassadors. The guard straightened as one. Ethan raised his sword for the official salute. And that's when he saw her. A discreet figure, between two columns. A look he would have recognized anywhere. Amara. Her breath caught in her throat. She barely moved, but her right hand made a brief, precise gesture, 3 fingers clasped together, then a circular movement of the wrist. A secret signal. The one they had invented long ago, when they were children, to communicate secretly in the forest. A sign of urgency. The sign of truth. Ethan felt his heart leap in his chest. This gesture, no one else could know it. And before he could even think, he broke protocol. His sword was lowered. He took a step forward. Then a second. The drums stopped. A murmur rippled through the crowd. "Captain Rowe?" exclaimed the marshal. But Ethan couldn't hear anything anymore. His gaze never left Amara. He knew he had just committed an unforgivable act, a serious military error. But he didn't care. Because if he had broken protocol, it was because he had understood. Something terrible was about to happen. Murmurs filled the royal court like a shockwave. The trumpets had fallen silent, the nobles exchanged worried glances, and the Queen, motionless on her ceremonial throne, coldly observed the scene. Captain Ethan Rowe, a symbol of royal discipline, had just broken one of the most sacred protocols. He had stepped out of line during the oath ceremony. An act that, for any other guard, would have meant immediate dismissal. But Ethan was no longer listening to the orders shouted behind him. He walked towards Amara, through the petrified crowd. Each step echoed like a thunderclap on the cobblestones. The guards hesitated to arrest him, no one dared to understand yet. Amara, for her part, remained calm. Her eyes shone with a painful intensity. When he reached her, she simply murmured, "It took you a while, Ethan." The guard stared at her, breathless. "Why this signal?" he asked, his voice low, almost hoarse. "Because they're going to kill her," she replied. Ethan bleated. "Who?" Amara cast a discreet glance towards the stage. "The Queen. Or rather, someone who wants her dead." Around them, the officers approached, wary. The marshal whistled an order. "Captain Rowe. Return to your post immediately." But Ethan took a further step, discreetly placing his body between Amara and the view of others. "Explain yourself," he breathed. "Not here. They're watching us. Every move, every word is being recorded." She handed him a small piece of folded fabric, hidden in her hand. He immediately recognized the embroidered emblem, the Silver Falcon, symbol of the Royal Intelligence Service, a secret unit, whose members were supposed to have been dead or disbanded for years. "Where did you get that?" demanded Abasurdi. "From your father." Ethan flinched. "My father died on the front." "No, Ethan. He was eliminated, by the same people who want the Queen today." A sharp sound rang out, boots hitting the ground. 2 guards approached to arrest Amara. Ethan clenched his fists. Protocol required him to withdraw, but his instincts screamed otherwise. "Captain Rowe, stay away from that woman." "Non," he replied calmly. A murmur of fear ran through the ranks. Ethan slowly drew his sword, not to threaten, but to protect. He pointed it towards the ground and declared in a firm voice, "If this woman is speaking out, it is because she possesses information vital to the security of the kingdom. Any attempt to arrest her will be considered an act of treason against the crown." An icy silence followed. Even the Queen, intrigued, signaled that they should be left alone. Amara bowed slightly. "Thank you, Captain." Then she whispered, "Follow me. If we stay here, they will silence us before the end of the ceremony." A few minutes later, Ethan and Amara quietly left the courtyard through a side corridor leading to the palace's underground passages. The echo of their footsteps mingled with the distant rumble of drums. Ethan was still clutching the piece of fabric in his hand. He did not yet know that this simple sign from the past had just triggered the greatest conspiracy the kingdom had ever known. The underground corridor stretched beneath the palace like a stone serpent. Torches flickered, casting trembling shadows on the damp walls. Ethan advanced first, sword drawn, while Amara followed closely, clutching a small leather bag in her hands. They stopped in a forgotten, half-collapsed room, where ancient royal symbols lay covered in dust. Ethan turned abruptly towards her. "Now, speak. What does all this mean?" Amara took a deep breath. "The kingdom is in danger, Ethan. And it all begins here, in this palace." He frowned. "Are you talking about a conspiracy?" "Yes. A plot orchestrated for years by those close to the Queen. They are not foreign enemies. They are her own advisors." Ethan took a step back, stunned. "That's impossible. The Royal Council is the heart of power." "Exactly. And that's where they strike. They want to provoke a crisis, to blame the people of the southern provinces, yours, Ethan." The guard felt his heart tighten. "You mean, my village?" Amara nodded slowly. "Their plan is simple: assassinate the Queen during the winter moon ceremony, then frame the former black soldiers from the provinces. They say it will be an act of racial revenge." A heavy silence fell. Ethan lowered his eyes, his throat tight. "And you, how do you know all this?" Amara took a small silver medallion out of the bag, engraved with the same falcon as on the fabric. "Because I was part of it, Ethan. I worked for the king's secret network before his death. Your father trained me." Ethan froze. The world seemed to tilt around him. You knew my father? Better than you think. He entrusted your protection to me before he died. He knew that one day you would be caught between duty and truth. The torches flickered more violently. A metallic clanging sound echoed behind them. Ethan immediately straightened up, sword raised. A figure appeared at the entrance to the room. A man in a black coat, wearing the council's insignia. His icy gaze fell upon them. I see that the past has found its way back to you, Captain Rowe. Amara turned pale. Lord Halvorsen, she murmured. The man gave a cold smile. I warned you, Amara. A girl like you has no place in the affairs of the kingdom. Ethan immediately positioned himself in front of her. One more word, and I'll arrest you for seditious remarks. You won't have time, Captain. With a swift movement, Halvorsen drew a silver dagger and hurled it in their direction. Ethan deflected it with a single slash. The impact sent a deafening metallic clang through the room. Amara took advantage of the confusion to grab Ethan's arm. We must flee now. He is not alone. Behind Halvorsen, armed figures began to appear, emerging from the darkness. Soldiers of the council, faces covered, swords drawn. Ethan realized that they had no way out through the door. He grabbed Amara by the hand, looked at the old cracked wall behind them and whispered. Hold on tight. He struck the stone with his sword. The wall gave way, revealing a narrow passage that descended into the depths. As he and Amara rushed inside, he heard Halvorsen's icy voice echoing behind them. You can run, Rowe, but the truth of blood will catch up with you. In the darkness of the tunnel, Amara gasped, her heart pounding wildly. Ethan, for his part, remained silent. The man's words still echoed in his head. The truth of blood. Deep down, he knew that this sentence concealed something even more terrible. A secret about his origins, about the true heir to the throne. The tunnel seemed endless. The air was heavy, thick with dust and silence. Ethan and Amara walked on by the flickering light of a torch he had hastily lit. The ground sloped gently down, winding beneath the palace's foundations. Their escape had been noisy. Halvorsen and his men would soon find them. But for now, they were alone. Amara stopped, placed her hand against the wall and whispered. This passage, your father showed it to me. It leads to the secret archives, where the true chronicles of the kingdom are kept. Ethan frowned. The chronicles? Those that have never been shown to the people. The archives of blood. They walked for a few more minutes before reaching a large iron gate, adorned with the emblem of the royal falcon. Ethan approached and placed his hand on it. The lock opened with a dull click. Inside, rows of dusty shelves stretched as far as the eye could see, laden with sealed parchments, chests, and forbidden books. A room forgotten for generations. Amara walked towards a black wooden chest. Help me open it. They lifted the lid. Inside, a single manuscript, bound in red leather. On the cover, a phrase engraved in gold letters. The blood of kings, le sang de rois. Ethan felt a shiver run down the back of his neck. What is this? Amara looked at him for a long time before replying. The truth. The one the council swore to conceal. She opened the manuscript. On the first page, a broken seal, then a handwritten genealogy. Ethan traced the names with his finger, until he stopped on the last one. Ethan Rowe. No, that's impossible. Amara looked up at him, gravely. You are not simply the son of a soldier, Ethan. You are the son of King Adrian IV, the hidden brother of the current queen. Ethan stepped back, breathless. Memories flooded back, his childhood in a southern village, the suspicious looks, the contradictory orders, his adoptive father who always refused to talk about his youth. My father, did he know? Yes, Amara replied softly. He hid you to protect you. The council had sworn to eliminate all traces of royal blood mixed with that of the black people. Ethan clenched his fists. So that's why they want the queen dead. So that I'll be accused, so that everything is erased, a second time. Exactly. And Halvorsen knows it. He let you live so he could keep a closer eye on you. A tense silence fell between them. Ethan sat down on a stone, his eyes fixed on the ground. All my life, I have served the crown, without knowing it was my own blood. Amara knelt before him. You didn't serve the wrong cause, Ethan. You served the people. And now, it's up to you to choose which king you want to be. Suddenly, a noise rang out in the distance, quick footsteps, voices. They had been found. Amara hurriedly closed the manuscript and slipped it into the bag. Quick, this way. But before they could move, the door behind them exploded under the pressure of a battering ram. A dozen council guards stormed into the room, weapons raised. Halvorsen entered, his face covered in dust, but his smile still icy. So it was true, he said calmly, the royal bastard has finally found his crown. Ethan straightened up, holding his sword in one hand, fire in his eyes. If you want the throne, Halvorsen, you'll have to take it over my dead body. It will be a pleasure. The blades clashed, the echo of metal resonating in the bowels of the palace. Amara, crouching behind a column, frantically rummaged through her bag, searching for a way to escape. But at that moment, she saw Halvorsen make a discreet hand gesture, an order. 2 archers, lying in ambush at the entrance, drew their bows. Ethan, absorbed in the fight, did not see them. Amara creates. Ethan, non. The arrow whistled through the air. A scream tore through the silence. The arrow flew with a high-pitched whistle and struck its target. But it wasn't Ethan. Amara lunged forward without thinking, tackling the captain to the ground. The arrow pierced her shoulder, piercing the fabric of her beige dress. She stifled a cry, her fingers trembling with pain. Ethan, stunned, held her against him. Amara. No, hold on. She gave a faint smile. I promised you. I would protect you. He held her close, his heart pounding wildly, before looking up at Halvorsen. His gaze, usually calm, became a storm. You have just signed your own death warrant. He slowly rose, picked up his sword, and positioned himself between Amara and the council guards. His uniform, a symbol of loyalty, suddenly seemed to burn on his shoulders. You have betrayed the kingdom. You have betrayed the crown. And you dared to spill the blood of an innocent on the soil of kings. Halvorsen lay there, paralyzed, impassive. The kingdom belongs to those of pure blood. Not to a bastard mixed with black people. Ethan felt his anger erupt. He leaped forward, their swords clashing in an explosion of noise and sparks. The guards retreated, terrified by the violence of the fight. Amara, half-conscious, murmured weakly. Ethan, the manuscript, doesn't let him down, that's the proof. He heard her words over the din, and it gave him renewed strength. He parried the next attack, stepped aside, and with a precise movement, disarmed Halvorsen. His sword flew through the air and crashed to the ground. Halvorsen staggered, but a demented smile appeared on his lips. Do you think you can save the queen? She's already doomed. Ethan raised his blade, but before he could strike, a noise resounded behind them, trumpets. Voices were shouting. The heavy door flew open. The queen entered, surrounded by her personal guard. Her face, usually impassive, was marked by astonishment. She contemplated the scene, the bodies, the dust, the manuscript open on the floor, and finally, Ethan. Captain Rowe? What does this madness mean? Ethan fell to his knees, placing his sword before him. Your Majesty, you must hear the truth. He took the manuscript, opened it to the fateful page, and handed it to the queen. The words were clear, the royal lineage, the mixed blood, the name Ethan Adrian Rowe, hidden son of King Adrian IV. The queen recoiled, distraught. Her lips trembled. That's impossible. Halvorsen tried to speak, but 2 royal guards grabbed him by the arms. Ethan looked up at her. Your Majesty, I want neither throne nor glory. I want the truth. And justice for those whom your council has silenced. Amara, supported by a guard, murmured. Your brother wanted unity, not division. That's why they killed him. A heavy silence fell. The queen closed her eyes. Then, slowly, she began to speak. Lord Halvorsen must be arrested and the council purged. I want everything that has been concealed to be revealed. The guards obeyed. Halvorsen was dragged out of the room, his smile fading into the shadows. Later, in the palace courtyard, dawn was breaking. Ethan, sitting near Amara, was bandaging her wound. The birds were barely singing, and the morning calm contrasted sharply with the storm they had just weathered. Amara looked at him, her eyes shining with gentleness. You did what your father never could. What is it? He asked. Choosing the people over the throne. Ethan smiled, placing his hand on hers. It's the only oath I will never break. A few weeks later, a new decree was proclaimed. The Council of the United Provinces, bringing together nobles and people of the South, had just been created. And in the royal guard, a new legend was born. That of a captain with royal blood and a rebellious heart. And of a woman who, with a simple wave of her hand, had changed the destiny of a kingdom. Years have passed. The kingdom of Windsor Hall has changed. Flags once tarnished by fear now fly freely in the wind of new mornings. The people of the South no longer walk with their heads bowed, and in the streets of the capital, black and white children play together without fear of stares. On the steps of the old palace, a statue has been erected. Two figures stand side by side. A guard, his sword lowered. And a young woman raising her hand, 3 fingers clasped together, her wrist turned in a coded gesture. The secret signal that changed history. Each year, on the day of the oath, the queen, aged, but still upright, comes to lay a wreath of white flowers there. Beyond the stone walls, in a discreet house on the edge of the hills, lives Ethan Rowe. Her hair has turned gray, but her gaze has lost none of its flame. He spends his days teaching strategy and courage to the young recruits of the kingdom's new guard. And when the evening breeze crosses the fields, it is said that he sometimes raises his head, searching with his eyes for Amara's star, the one he had engraved in the sky of memory. Because Amara Lewis did not survive her injury that day. She passed away before dawn, a smile on her lips, her hand in his. But before leaving, she whispered these words to him. You never needed a throne to be a king. Since then, Ethan always carries with him a small silver medallion, engraved with the royal falcon and the symbol they had invented as children. The falcon of the kingdom and the hand of the people. 2 forces that no one will ever be able to separate again. And when the bells ring at Windsor Hall, the old folks still whisper this legend. One day, a black girl signaled to the royal guard. And, with a single gesture, she brought the power to its knees. On that day, blood and justice finally recognized each other.